We start the show with a proper introduction of our hero. Enter Saitama, looking expressionless as ever and wearing a plain red and yellow superhero costume. So after a very minimal verbal exchange, our hero takes care of the first villain of the series with just one punch. A scene that would go on to set the tone and expectations of the whole show. One Punch Man is a satirical insight to the action genre of anime. We see this the most through our hero, Saitama. Our hero is a long-haired, sharp-chinned powerhouse of a man who oozes with style. Wait, what?
Saitama is the complete opposite of the traditional anime protagonist. Here you have a character who's bald and wears a janitor's outfit with a cape. Though him being bald seems insignificant to viewers, but in anime culture, long hair is used as a symbol of power. How does one show someone's power, or someone getting stronger? An easy way to do that is to show cosmetic changes to the character. You know, long hair, big muscles. For instance, in these clips, you will see, in the series Dragon Ball Z, when Goku's getting stronger, his hair grows. The same thing can be said about Yusuke from Yu Yu Hakusho when he unlocks his demon powers. And even more recently in Ichigo from Bleach when he uses his final attack. He is the strongest character in the show without any of the characteristics of a traditionally strong character. This is a joke in itself, but it's told subtly.
Saitama is the epitome of indifference when it comes to caring about what others think of him. He is a far cry from the overly emotional anime characters who just love to yell and cry to just make a point. In the world created for the show, Saitama is the only hero who doesn't obsess over looking like a hero to the world. He wants to be a hero through his deed and be true to himself rather than being the poster boy hero. Kind of reminds you of a certain hero, doesn't it? Saitama doesn't indulge in talking about himself, which can be seen multiple times in the show when he tells the characters to say what they have to say in 20 words or less. It's almost as if he sympathizes with us, the audience, who have grown tired of the cliches of exposition-heavy superheroes and supervillains.
One Punch Man can be seen as very anti-backstory. It's to the point where you can say backstories is an antagonist in the series. Saitama has no backstory, yet every villain he faces has a convoluted backstory. It even gets to the point where in a previously mentioned scene, one of the characters, Genos, is telling Saitama his backstory and Saitama tells him, "Shut up and get to the point." This can be seen as a declaration from One Punch Man that backstories is such a negative trope in the genre that it's also a villain in the story. One Punch Man also pokes fun of how over-the-top anime can be, while still paying homage to the classics that define an era. In certain fight scenes, you'll hear Saitama say something like series of normal punches or serious punch. This refers to the heroes of anime having absurd names for every one of their attacks. This was common in Dragon Ball Z, Fist of the North Star, and has even been passed down to newer shows like Naruto.
8階建てくらいはあるの。いや、いると判断したのですが。
In an overly dramatic and exaggerated world, Saitama is the essence of simplicity. In fact, the image of Saitama eating in a humble udon shop, or catching weekly sales at grocery shops, and getting intrigued by simple fan mail describes him so much more than the image of him punching a hole through a fish. Saitama acts as if he's completely apathetic to his power, carrying himself with almost a childlike innocence. And his emotionless face is a window to his soul, a soul that has lost all sense of sentiments, a soul that has lost all sense of emotions. Saitama describes this trait by saying he has given up all of his emotions for power. Power is a big theme in the show. To find stimulation in one's life, one has to feel a feeling of reward. One has to feel challenged. Without challenge, there is no reward. Saitama has become the very being who can never know powerlessness. So now he's completely void of any form of emotions. He is a manifestation of power, and with so much power, he has no real challenge, and with no real challenge, he feels no reward. However, to make up for the fact that Saitama has no physical challenges, he finds rewards in the more simple aspects of life, and he humbles himself to the point where he is immune to everything negative thrown at him. The show takes a turn of events in the second half. Some people seem to have a problem with this, but the show's decision was understandable. There's only so far you can go on just as a parody show. The show spent the first half of the season doing this and setting up the world. Now it needed to move on from there. When the Hero Association was introduced, a new dynamic was added to the show. The world we saw as the audience suddenly became more rich. The established universe suddenly had more questions. What we knew before became only surface knowledge. A sense of mystery started to ooze out of the story, and all of a sudden, the villains only seemed like pawns. Even the heroes seemed like pawns. What is the Hero Association? Are these heroes actually good guys? Is there some conspiracy that Saitama and Genos know about? Who is Metal Knight and Blast? And how does Drive Knight know about Genos? And what's going on? One character who represents the audience is Genos. He reacts to situations just like you and I would given the circumstances. He's just as intrigued by Saitama as we are. He has questions about the Hero Association just like we do. And this might be a bold claim, but I'm sure most of us, if given superpowers and dropped into the world of One Punch Man, we would act a lot like Genos. He fights a good fight, he's brave, and someone enjoys the attention he gets as a hero, all while maintaining a level of humility.
ジャノスおい
俺はアシュラカブトってんだ
ジェノスを現代アートみたいにしやがって
Aforementioned Heroes Association seems like a device used to move the plot forward, but it's so much more than that. It's a reflection of how human beings use class systems for their social satisfaction. This is prominent in Asian countries like China, Japan, India, and Bangladesh, where they will rank their students and employees to put them into different classes. This mentality is drilled into their heads at a young age and then passed on to the newer generation. When Saitama joins the Hero Association, he is leagues above all their members, but is placed in their lowest class. How is this possible? Saitama, being the strongest character in the show, is seen as the weakest. One Punch Man sees this system as flawed, and shows the absurdity of class systems and how they cannot measure all points of value. One Punch Man also critiques how campy and unrealistic anime can get sometimes. There is a scene where one of the lesser heroes, Moomin Rider, battles a villain named Sea King. Sea King, after going on a rampage, defeating countless stronger heroes, finds Moomin Rider getting in his way. Moomin Rider, outclassed, is adamant about stopping Sea King and protecting the innocent people, takes a beating of his life. In a traditional anime setting, Moomin Rider would go on to put all his will and all his emotions into one last attack, and in that process, save the day.
But this was One Punch Man, and I'll just let the scene speak for itself. And Saitama, with the look of a man filling out paperwork at a DMV, punched Sea King's guts into the next city.
The character of Moomin Rider is more interesting than you'd think at first. Now let's see. He is a representation of the average folk. He has no powers, but he has a deep devotion to protecting the innocent and upholding justice. Something I feel we can all relate to. Everybody wants what's good for the community, and Moomin Rider is just that person. And he's possibly the most heroic and bravest character in the whole show. He takes on opponents multiple times stronger than him, and he continues to lose, but he never gives up.
The mark of a good comedy is balance. You will notice that not every scene in the show is meant to be taken lightheartedly. because they do throw in some beautiful fight scenes here and there. They do this by letting the animation signal when to laugh and when to be in awe. Though this is a common technique in animation, it was done brilliantly in One Punch Man. If you look closely, Saitama never really has a chin or any angles on him throughout the series, except for key moments or fights. This was done to give him a more non-threatening appearance, adding to the humor, but also to tell viewers, hey, this is a comedy moment. This is why the humor works,
Because your eyes tell you when to laugh and when to take something seriously.
One mistake that satire comedies make is that they try too hard with their jokes, and it never really ends up being funny. For example, the Disney movie Enchanted. This movie tells you, haha, laugh, she's a princess trying to save a guy, and that she's the one who needs to be saved. Isn't it funny? They do this so many times that it will irritate you. In contrast, One Punch Man, they show you the humor. They let you decide if it's funny or not. They don't beat you over the head with it, they treat you like intelligent human beings.
一見落着だな。
One Punch Man brings to the fore just how important public perception really is. People can easily turn on a hero or a good guy. How the public see you sometimes all depend on the perspective and situation, and not always your deeds. How you present yourself is almost as important as a deed you've done. Just as Ra's al Ghul from Batman once said, theatricality and deception are powerful agents. However, Saitama doesn't seem to care much for it.